Thank you, though. Is the president okay with his son defying a congressional subpoena?
I'm just not going to get into specifics on that. I would have to refer you to the president's, not the president, but Hunter's personal private citizens. I'm just not going to get into it.
Can you tell us when the last time the two of them spoke?
I mean, I'm also not going to get into private conversations that the president has with his family. We've been pretty consistent. That's nothing new. We're just not going to get into it from here.
Oh, right.
Republicans say that they have to take this vote, formalizing an impeachment inquiry, because the White House is stonewalling them. What's your response to that?
The White House is stonewalling the House Republicans who have been really pushing this impeachment without any evidence, like without doing this political stunt. I mean, that's what they've been doing over and over again. And we have said it. Other Republicans have said it. There's no evidence here. There's none. Look, I just said at the top, they're going to go home tomorrow, right? They're going to go home this week. And what have they done? We need critical aid to Ukraine. Have they gotten that done? We need to secure the border. Have they gotten that done? We need to make sure we avert a government shutdown in January. Have they even had conversations to get that done? And instead, they focus on baseless political stunts. Baseless political stunts. That's what they continue to do. Instead of they're focusing on the president's family instead of focusing on the American family. You've heard me say that over and over and over again. And since you say that we're not well, they're saying that we're not compromised or cooperating. They've gotten 100,000 pages of documents. They've interviewed witnesses for 40 hours. And those documents and those witnesses, things that they asked for, have actually refuted their false allegations over and over and over and over and again. Instead of doing the work of the American people, they're doing this. They're doing political stunts. And we've been very clear about that. I'm just going to go to the back. A little bit. I'll come back. Go ahead, Rob. I haven't called you in a while. Okay?
No, you haven't. Thank you very much. You just said the president was familiar with what his son was going to say today. Was the president involved in drafting it, discussing it? Did he offer advice?
I don't have anything else to add. He was familiar. I don't have anything else to add.
Oh, right.
Okay, and you asked what the president, what his stance was on people who defy congressional subpoenas. In 2021, he was asked that question specifically and said that he believed the Justice Department should prosecute them. Is that still his position?
I don't have anything to add to what you just quoted me from the president. I just don't have anything to add.
Yeah, boy.
Anybody else? Okay, Gary.
Thanks, great. As John mentioned in his talk, where today is the 1-year anniversary since the U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit, and the White House put out a fact sheet listing some of the actions that have been taken, including high-level engagement, which included the vice president, but it did not mention any announcement about the president's visit to Africa, which he told leaders he would do. Is that still a priority for this president, given that there's only 1 year left of this administration?
Yeah, it is still very much a priority for this president. He strongly wants to go to Africa, has obviously has strong desire to go to Africa. And let me just say, it's been unprecedented number of 17 of his cabinet members and other principals has traveled to the continent to talk about meaningful exchanges, right? To talk about how we can work together. And so I don't have anything to announce at this time, but obviously he takes that very seriously. He does have a strong desire to go to Africa. Let's not forget, a year ago there were 49 leaders from the continent here, and it was also an unprecedented summit. And so we are way ahead in what we said we were going to deliver on in those conversations and coming out of that summit. And so, yes, will he go to Africa? He has a strong desire to do so. We just don't have anything to announce at this time.
Yeah.
I mean, as the administration continues to work on those commitments to Africa, it also has been applying a lot of pressure to Uganda over its anti-homosexuality bill, which includes visa bans, AGOA being restricted. But as that's happening, there are other countries that are drafting similar bills, is the White House concerned that this is going to undermine the momentum of this pressure being applied to Uganda over this vote?
I mean, look, the president is always concerned on any type of human rights violation, any type of legislation or actions that's going to certainly go after underrepresented, communities. He's always going to be very clear about that. Always going to have those very straightforward conversations. I can't speak to other countries, right? I don't have the specifics on what exactly that they are speaking about or changes that they want to make. But just like we've been pretty clear about what Uganda is doing and spoken very forcefully, we're going to continue to do that. Again, the president has, when it comes to human rights, the president has always been very clear, has had those conversations with leaders of countries, and he doesn't hold back. He doesn't hold back.
Thank you. So Senator Durbin today also said that he'd been in contact with the White House and that the White House was vaguely considering a policy similar to Title 42. Is there, if it's the difference between passing aid for Ukraine and not, is there any scenario where the president would support and the White House would support these proposals by Republicans that are also backed by Donald Trump and Stephen Miller?
I really can't get into hypotheticals from here. I can't negotiate from here. They're having conversations right now. Don't want to get ahead of that. Want to let folks have those conversations. We know and we understand, the president understands, he said this, that we need to come, in order to get this done, there has to be a bipartisan compromise. We have to find a bipartisan compromise. I'm just not going to go into...
Though, even saying that he's open to compromise, that came after some of these proposals were outlined. That came after Republicans said what they wanted here. Nationwide expedited removal, authority for expulsion. So even just him saying that he's open to compromise, does that not mean he's open to compromise?
This president has signed more bipartisan legislation than any modern day president. He has, right? You've seen him taking historic action on a few bipartisan issues, right? Let's think about the budget deal, right? That was done in a bipartisan way. So it's not just this. We understand in order to come up with a compromise and get things done on behalf of the American people, you have to find a bipartisan way to do that. And so that's what I'm saying. I want to be really mindful. There are negotiations literally happening. I'm not going to, from the podium, start saying what the president's going to accept, not to accept, or getting to hypotheticals. That's not going to help the process that we're trying to deliver on for the American people. I'm just not going to get ahead of that.
You are a crazy little man.
I'm out of here.